look, it's funny. Alabama fans don't like being in the seat that we've been in for the past 10 years. They don't like being in this seat, where they're just as good. They can possibly win a championship any year, but there's a top dog in town that they just can't get over, we're just that top dog. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like that what I just said. So.
Well, that's a thing for another time. We'll put a whole show. We'll probably do our own little SEC. We'll align with them in a lot of ways. If you guys, haven't been able to, if you don't really know what we're talking about now, it's the Goal Line Stand podcast. That's our buddies, Kobe and Jackson. We go back, Torrez and I do with these two guys. Been great friends. Enjoy talking with them any chance we get. And we should see if we can do a little collab. But they've recently started delving into the live streaming channels themselves. So whenever they do it, I think they're shooting for Wednesday. You guys should definitely tune in, give them some love. Tune in to see what they say. I think they're going to be talking about ACC this week. Jackson is actually at the ACC Media Days this week, so he should have a lot of good stuff to say. So should be a good one. But, man, let me check in with you here. I know we're getting here closer and closer to the fight. We've been checking in as the weeks have gone along. How are things going with the training camp?
Training camp is going good, man. This past week was a real last hard week. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's been, but then this week it's still not done yet. This week is my this upcoming week, cardio week. So, it's that time where you get down to the last little bit. My cardio feels phenomenal, but you got to do the parts to where you push yourself to the absolute limit and try to kill yourself almost at this rate. But my doing good. Woke up this morning about 2:07, so. I'm feeling good. Everything's going good. Training is going swell, man. And I'm excited, man. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm ready to fight. I'm really ready.
I see you made you a friend this weekend. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, we've been hanging out this entire weekend. We hung out a little bit before he flew back. TJ Dillashaw, anybody that knows that, TJ Dillashaw, two-time world UFC champion, bantamweight division. So
what brought him in town?
He's coming to town to have some sponsors bring him in, and we talked and showed him around Chattanooga and went and ate. He gave me a lot of good knowledge, from a guy that's been there and done that, and to have that type of thing from a guy like TJ Dillashaw was very impactful and very exciting to have up front. And I learned a lot of things, not only just inside the fight game, but also outside of it, and it's a lot of good things that I can take with me going into next week's fight anyway. So he was a very valuable piece just in these 3 days we hung out, and he'll be a very valuable piece for me as well in the foreseeable future.
Saw y'all ate some good food too.
Oh yes, that T-bone steak, my God. Well, I mean, obviously everybody's heard of it. It's Ruth Chris, so steaks are phenomenal.
Surprisingly enough, I've never ate there. I need to check it out one day. I've never ate there. Yeah.
I mean, it ain't gonna lie to you, Tyler. It's not no no, it's phenomenal. Like, I'm gonna tell you something. You get the sweet potato casserole.
Oh, yeah.
The brown sugar and the nuts in it are top tier.
Pecans.
I
tell you, marshmallows up in there.
Oh, yeah. If you ask them, I bet you can. I mean, it's so good, man. But it's not a place I go to all the time. It's just I went there because of those guys can they cover the bills, So that's why I'm going there.
Probably the reason I've never probably been as well. So
I haven't been to Ruth Chris in I probably haven't been in since before college. I've always known of it and I've been it, but it's a very rare occasion for me to go. And literally, one of my sponsors, TJ, they literally went every day, so they can keep that.
Yeah.
But I did go and I enjoyed it. So, but it's a great experience.
So, how many days are we at till the next fight? What's it like? 12?
We are currently. So tomorrow will be officially. Tomorrow will make it 10 days. So today is.
Wow.
So probably when ones that listening live right now is 11 days, but tomorrow will make it 10 days. So it'll be next Friday.
Wow. And you don't have any more. Saw you were posting something about tickets on hand. You don't have any more physical tickets, do you?
I literally only have 10 physical tickets left.
So if you're listening live,
I started with over. what's 8, 6, 14. I started with 64 tickets, and now I got 10. So there's gonna be a lot of people. They sold quick. I literally just got them last. I haven't even had them for a week. And they're just boom, 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 boom. So if you want tickets, you have to get with me now. Do not wait because you'll probably have to just get them online anyway. Just get them online if you want tickets. But I'd really try to sell the paper tickets. A lot of people like to have those tickets at hand already, which is understandable. But there won't be many left soon. So get with me.
For real. Well, I don't think I have any like breaking news. I know there's been a couple things on the NFL front today. There was a couple big news things, and we will be talking NFL today. We covered AFC last week. If you missed that show, you can go back. We do have that up on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere. Couple surprises in there, I have to say. I think I threw a couple curveballs in there, which I'm known to do. So there's a couple in there if you're interested to go back and listen. But today we're going to be tackling NFC. And this first one, it doesn't impact ours at all. But Nyheim Hines, running back for the Bills, he tore his ACL today. On a jet ski. So that's pretty tragic. Somebody ran into him while he was on a jet ski.
On a jet ski.
Yeah, somebody ran into him. So he will be gone for the year. So James Cook will be getting some extra touches this year. And then the other thing, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who technically will be talked about in today's episode, a DB signing by the Lions, coming from that Philadelphia Eagles defense that was so highly last year that made it to the Super Bowl. There's nothing official yet, but he went down to a non-contact knee injury today, and initial reports are the players are pretty shook up about. So it's probably nothing great. We're looking at here with CJ.
Well, while he's been on the Lions. Well,
it just happened, man.
It's so sad, dude. I actually heard it happened last.
Or was it really?
I heard no. I'm not talking about that, but I heard. Now this is a whole different thing, but it's just been wild. I've been hearing crazy injuries like that. There was a football player at Furman University, because one of the guys just trained here, and he said their all conference center jumped into the pool, and he jumped into the pool and he broke his neck.
Oh,
and it was just a shallow end. He jumped into which you shouldn't jump in a shallow end, but it was like 5-6 feet, and he broke his neck. And they said he got up. As he got out the pool, blood was gushing from the top of his head.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so he's out for the season. I've been hearing these freak injuries, man. So definitely got to stay mindful.
Yes, for sure. Well, Torrez, you had the first pick last time, and man, you really gave it to me, man. You lucky with that one bad division. The freaking the one with the Jaguars at the top that I had and everything. So today I don't care. Screw you, dude. I'm going my first pick.
All right.
One. I'm going to tackle.
What we doing? NFC.
NFC will be covering the different divisions. Same thing as last time.
Which division?
I'm going to pick, and I'm going to start off with the NFC East. That's the teams. I'm going to start off here first. So I'm going to get first pick on this one. So I'm going to go with them. To me, how I see it, so we're going to break down each team just very briefly, give our picks on how we think the division is going to play out with 1, 2, 3, and 4. To me, the one seed here, and I'm just going to reveal mine right away. Number one seed here out of the NFC East. To me, it's got to be the Eagles. I don't see how you pick anybody different than them. Obviously, coming back from the Super Bowl, have a very great team. You go and look at the depth chart. The offense looks good. The defense looks good. As far as the additions this year, they did go pick up. I think he was their left tackle this past year at Alabama, Tyler Steen. Came from Vanderbilt, played pretty good for them. Picked up DeAndre Swift in a trade, which I did like that trade for them. Also signed Rashad Penny, who hasn't had the best career. It's kind of similar to Swift, a lot of injuries, but the upside's there. They're going to go running back by committee this year. Jalen Carter, who we all think was probably one of the steals of this year's draft, just due to everything that kind of happened and knock him down. To me, a guy that's probably going to be a starter day one, just to add to that touted defensive line. And you can go look at this defensive line. It's still freaking, God almighty, it's star-studded. But to go with that, Nolan Smith, another Georgia boy, and Keely Ringo, who I think wherever he shakes out in the defensive backfield, I think he's more of a safety. Been on this show before and have said that. So we'll see where they end up using him, but I think he could be good there. got a guy, and I'm kind of want to hear just real briefly what you think about this. Terrell Edmonds coming from the Steelers to these guys. Is that a big blow for y'all? Him going and leaving to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Edmund was he was a good piece for the Steelers. I wouldn't say he was like, oh my gosh, defensive changing,
Mm-hmm.
but he did make a difference. He did make a difference in a lot of games. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the actual game. We had upset one team. He had caught the game-winning interception. But
Mm-hmm.
Edmonds is a solid. He's a solid player.
Yeah,
Um, Plays hard. You know, he can cover well.
they're
But
gonna
he
have him in that Chauncey Gardner Johnson kind of
he
role
has
for
his
him this year.
moments. He has his moments though. He's good. He's good.
Yeah.
But he does has his moments. But
Mm-hmm.
nobody really. I would say compared to NFL DB, I say he's average. You know,
Yeah.
he's about average, but he'll show up sometimes. He will. But I feel like with a system like the Eagles, who are better all around than the
Yeah.
Steelers defense, I feel like because the Eagles have the pieces everywhere. They got the D line. That's one thing.
They
I
do.
mean, I know Steelers had T.J. Watt, but we struggle sometimes without him. When we have injuries and Casey Hayward, you know, people was able to do a little bit more things to us up front. So and linebacker. So I say with a more defensive core, the Eagles could be he could actually make his name.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, I'll read it out to you. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. Behind Fletcher Cox, you got Jordan Davis,
I know.
Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, and then behind him you got Derek Barnett, former first rounder. So I mean, they are absolutely loaded there. They can, they're looking at having Kobe Dean be a starter this year. We love him. John Reddick is a good player. Darius Slay back there. Terrell Edmonds, a guy that's kind of looked. I don't think a lot of people give this dude some credit. He really showed some stuff to me. But Reed Blankenship, who's their free safety, interesting character. But man, he is not afraid to hit. I like the way he plays. Also got James Berry and Devontae Maddox. And I mentioned they had some drafted some people that I think are going to really help. Offensive line still looks like it's going to be solid. Lane Johnson, Tyler Steen, Jason Kelsey, future Hall of Famer there. Him and Lane Johnson both, I feel like. Landon Dickerson, who's been great ever since he's entered the league from Bama. They're just going to build on what they've had. And I don't, some people, the weakness you can point to here is their running backs. But I think they can just do this by a committee and they'll be just fine. So
Yeah.
I like where they're at. I think we're going to have another good year from them. So I got them at number one. Number two, I think this one's pretty simple too. I'd be shocked if you have this different than me, but I have the Cowboys here coming in second. I think it's pretty safe, a pretty safe bet that they're going to make it there. Bringing back this, Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, decent offensive line. I do think this is one of the more weaker Cowboys offensive line. I meant that they've had in like the past decade. I will say I don't think they have that depth like they're normally used to having. But they got Brandon Cooks, traded for him, solid. Tony Pollard's now going to get the full running back share this year. He's shown talent. He's shown that he's good enough. I think he'll be pretty explosive, letting Zeke go. Got Stephon Gilmore out there to pair up with Trevon Diggs. Jonathan Hankins on the defensive line to help out, and then their first round pick, Maisie Smith. So, pretty good team. It's hard for me to McCarthy, as a head coach here in Dallas, and Dak has
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most. Dak hasn't been the most reliable guy himself, so it's one of those. And they lost Kellen Moore, who I mentioned last show. I think that will be a big hit to the Dallas Cowboys.
What was Dak Prescott prediction? He's not throwing how many interceptions?
I didn't see it. What did he
He
say?
said he's not throwing no more. I think he said he's not throwing no more than 5.
Let me look
And
at that. We'll vet that. If that's the case, I don't really believe that. He has not shown that he can do that. I don't think.
he was. Let
But
me see. I'm gonna say. 10. Take that back. It would be 10.
10.
He said I want 10 interceptions this year, and then it was funny like
That.
the memes on Twitter. So, what you think, Tyler? Will Dak
Oh,
Prescott have more than 10 interceptions?
I think he will. A worse offensive line. I don't know if you're going to be able to keep the same run game. I mean, it is good, but I mean, you don't have that 1-2 punch. I think anymore to keep yourself good on there. We'll have to see if Pollard can help himself out as a pass blocker, but I think there's going to be people in his face a little bit this year, Prescott. I think he's going to. I think the Cowboys are going to be put in positions where they're going to have to throw it up, and the more you throw, the more chances you have of interception. So I think it's going to go over 10.
No, he's going for 10
Yeah.
then.
What about you? What do you think?
I do think he's thrown over 10. I mean, I seen him one game last year throw like 4. So, like,
Yeah.
now, granted, that was last year, but when we think right now, this is like the most prime of Dak Prescott. When you think so, like Dak been here for a minute. Like Dak he came
Yes.
in the league in 2016. We're in 2023 now. I don't think you
Yeah.
get any more. I'm in my prime. This is about your prime. When you hit about around year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10ish, like this is about the time where you should be seeing like the best of you.
Yeah.
And
So we'll see.
so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Behind the Eagles and the Cowboys, I got number 3 in the New York Giants. They bring in Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. Good wide receiver, was kind of slept on. Paris Campbell also comes in, just a decent, reliable wide receiver who actually played pretty good in Indianapolis last year. Darren Waller gets brought in as their big piece, tight end wise from the Las Vegas Raiders, and then defensively they bring in Ashawn Robinson. They did have a decent, if I'm not mistaken, their defense was pretty decent last year. Like it wasn't like a bad defense at all for the most part. Jones did play better than he was technically supposed to, I think. I do like their offensive line for the most part. I think you got 2 bookend guys and Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas just holding those tackle spots. A lot of this kind of hinges on Saquon Barkley. Will he come and play this year? The contract stuff's happening. Is he going to come back and play for you? I do like the defensive line: Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Ashawn Robinson, Azeez Ojulari. That's some proven dudes. Kayvon Thibodeau as outside linebacker is nice. So we'll see what they can do. Once again, I'm just kind of in that spot. Brian DeBall is going to have to do some good stuff, which he can do offensively. We'll have to see how this team kind of performs overall. And then rounding it out, the Washington Commanders. Who's going to be their quarterback? Is it going to be Sam Howell, former North Carolina Tar Heel, or is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? Just a solid, nice, backup that can step in when needed quarterback. And then they go and get Emmanuel Forbes, first round pick safety, who they've said is pretty good. All I've got really is their highlight additions.
Well, looking at this, then you don't think a guy like Eric Bieniemy, being now the coach there for the Washington, you don't think he impact that a little bit? You don't think that he push him upward a little bit?
I mean, you look at this, the quarterbacks that's the thing. I mean, how much stock are you really going to put in this team when you got Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett? The running back is going to be once again another running back by committee. They got the boy from Ola coming in, Chris Rodriguez, played for Kentucky. Yeah. So I mean, he's going to come in there with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Okay, running back core.
I thought Chris played at Locust Grove. Maybe I was wrong.
I thought it was Ola. I could have sworn it was Ola. I don't know. I'll bet it. I'll look at it here in a little bit.
I think it's Locust Grove because I remember, if anybody from Jones can remember, that was the guy I snatched the ball from and ran it back for a touchdown. My senior year.
Have I been messing up? No. Ola High School.
It was Ola? Really?
Oh. God. Yeah. At least that's what it's saying. Ola, McDonough, Georgia. That's where.
Oh, that's him. That's him. I could have sworn. I could have thought it was Locust Grove. I could have sworn it was. There was somebody.
1, Torrez 0.
Hey. There is a running back from Locust Grove that went to the. No, it's the one that played for the Falcons. It's the one that played for the Falcons.
Which one was that?
Oh my gosh. That's gonna
take you a minute to. Yeah. We'll circle back. Yeah. But to answer your question, do I think he can turn it around? I don't really know. I'm not willing to bet on it this first year, though. I'm just not. I'm not willing to bet on it this first year. I do like Jahan Dotson. I do like Terry McLaurin. Once again, it just comes back to quarterback for me. So how do you have this ranking out? I had Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. Is yours the same, or do you have a couple makeups?
Right before we get to it, the guy's name was Caleb Huntley.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing
that. Yeah, he played for Locust Grove. I thought it was the wrong guy. I know it was somebody. Well, good job for that area, that Locust Grove, Ola area. What they call that area? The Augusta area around that time?
Yeah.
There's a name for that area. What's it? Is it Henry County? Henry County?
Maybe that Henry County, yeah.
Yeah, but, they've actually been doing good. They've been doing good athlete-wise, player-wise, so even though Jones kind of play them every year, they have a lot of good athletes in that. But circling back, yes, man, I have the same list as you do. Number 1, the Eagles. Okay, number 2, I have the Cowboys. 3, Giants. 4, Washington. Now with Washington, I do think they will compete just a tad bit. They have the defensive line to be able to take over games, but you are right. Added in Eric at offense coordinator. You got to still have the pieces to be able to do it. So hopefully we see his magic work. Some people don't even think it's his magic. Some people believe it was all Andy Reid, which is a point. You can make that point because Andy Reid is that guy. Obviously, we just see these guys win another Super Bowl, but we'll see. We'll see. And I think the Giants only get better. I'm excited to see what Daniel Jones brings to the table. He's continued to get better. You know, he won a playoff game last year. He stepped in his game up. So I'm excited to see how he plays this upcoming season. Yep. Then obviously the Cowboys. Cowboys are just – what can you expect, man? I felt like we've seen the best Cowboys team, 2 or 3 years ago. You know, last year it was a solid team, but I'm never sold on the Cowboys. You know, we hear about them every year. We hear about, like, they're always, like, up near the top in potential Super Bowl odds. I don't see what anybody else sees, man. I really don't. I've never seen it. There's never been a time when I'm like, dang, them Cowboys going to probably be in the Super Bowl contention. Like, heck, the farthest they made it is what? The divisional round? You know, how many times?
They're just right outside.
It is right outside. Like, how many times have we heard that they're amongst the best teams in the league? Like, they're a good football team. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're probably going to win 11, 12 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised. But I feel like the Cowboys are where the Eagles are, where the Eagles are right now. I feel like the Cowboys should be at that point because I feel like there's been a lot of seasons where the Cowboys have had even more talent than the Eagles. But now the Eagles have found their talent, and now they're really, you know, finding their gear, finding exactly what makes them better as a team. And it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see the Jalen Hurts as well for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looked phenomenal, man, that season.
Year.
Some people thought he could have won MVP. The way he played in the Super Bowl was phenomenal. I mean, oh my gosh, they literally had offense that if you didn't stop them from scoring, you were going to lose the game. That's how good they were, you know? So, like, to be able to see an offense of that caliber, man, that's some next level stuff. So, I do think the Eagles, that defense, like you say, coming back, all those names, Brandon Graham, what's the big D tackle you just named?
You have Jalen Carter, Derek Barnett,
Fletcher
Cox.
That's it. Jordan Davis. Yeah, dude, look at that doggone line.
Yeah,
God, look at that line. They're gonna be tough to beat, man. They're gonna be really tough to beat. I feel like the offensive line gonna get better. They're gonna get better. Jalen Hurts gonna continue to get better. As we said before, man, I feel like Jalen Hurts was probably one of the better quarterbacks, you know, coming out of college. A lot of people doubted him because of what happened in college, but Jalen Hurts is that guy, and I'm confident to say he's probably going to be a top 5 quarterback coming to this season next year. So let's see.
I think you're right. So now you have the pleasure of picking the next division that you want to start off with. Breaking down.
I'm going to go with the funnest division of them all, the NFC South.
I knew you were going to do that. Why would you do that,
hey, so now let me tell you something about this division.
The funnest.
Because all of them goofy. That's what it is. They all goofy. But I would say with this division here, this is a division that you could probably say is, I don't know, like middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. Like they're tough, they're good, but they're middle of the pack, you know, and there's going to be, I feel like we're going to see a lot of those middle of the pack teams. Okay, so the number one team, this is hard to actually pick a number one team.
Who are you putting number one?
I'm only, oh Lord, this is rough.
This is the hardest one to pick, in my opinion.
This is hard. So this is going to be like, this is going to be a little like we're going to try it out and see. But I would say, and then after seeing the Saints are already losing Alvin Kamara for a few games.
Well, is that determined yet? I have to look and see. I didn't know if they came out and gave him an official suspension. I know the league is looking into it. Let me look and see.
Well, so this is going to be very dependent on that decision. All right. So right now, until we figure out more about this, so this is very interchangeable. All right. 1A. I'll go with the Saints. All right.
1A, the Saints.
1A, the Saints. Yes.
Nothing I think is definitive here yet.
Nothing's definitive.
No suspension has been handed out yet. There are people that speculate between, some people are thinking, some people think 3, some people think it can be as many as like 6. So, yeah.
If it's 1 to 3 games, then I'll still stay with this pick. But if it's 6, I might have to switch over to my next guy, which will be the number 2 seed. I'm going with the New Orleans Saints as number 1.
Okay. Okay.
You got Derek Carr coming in at quarterback, something a little bit more established than what they've had last year. Hopefully, with a guy like Alvin Kamara, you can have a guy like a team that can be able to really be substantial and really can get some offense going. I just worry about how the Saints will look on defense. The defense wasn't amongst the best last year. I know they had an okay defense. I know they got Cameron Jordan. They have Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore. So they got some pieces, but they're not amongst the top tier for, I would say, on the defensive end of the side of the ball. Wide receiver, it's a lot of things are questionable. They got Chris Olave. They got Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson at tight end, Taysom Hill, who's a phenomenal player that's all around. And then also they got Jamal Williams, a second string running back. They got some pieces. Yeah. It'll be good to see what if a guy like Derek Carr can come in and actually make an effect to this team a little bit. I think you will have to a little bit go with them as front runners, but then again, Derek Carr's a little bit. Derek Carr's a little bit of a front runner himself. So it's gonna be tough to see with this team. I do like what the Saints are bringing to the table, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't put money on anybody in this division. My number 2 team is the Atlanta Falcons. All right, so this is the thing with them Falcons. I saw on Facebook that somebody saying, "I'm so ready for football season to watch my Falcons play." And then somebody come in and said, "Why?"
Oh God!
Why? And I absolutely agree. Why? You want to sit there and just cuss at your TV all day long? But yes, I'm gonna tell you this. From the end of last year, I would say the final 4 to 5, 6 games in that area, the Falcons showed a lot of promising things. They showed that they can do a lot of really good things, and that depended on can we see a guy like Desmond Ridder play for a full season. So we saw a guy like Desmond Ridder, all right? Now we're going to see him with a full season under his belt. He'll start the season off. A guy like Bijan Robinson, I wasn't the biggest fan of them picking him up, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it really goes. I do like Tyler Aguilar. I do like Cordell Patterson. I know they got a lot of running backs. I think the Falcons have went on and said, "Hey, just going to step back."
You know who their coach is and where he came from.
That's right.
Former guy that running plays for Derrick Henry. Every can play.
Right. I know. That's what I think. I think the Falcons are with him. I think they're coming to the realization that hey, we're just going to be a running team. But that's my only problem. When the Falcons get behind on certain teams, it's hard for them to come back because they're always running the ball. Not saying it's impossible because, hey, then we watched the Falcons come back. They were down 28-3 or something like that against the Rams. They still won the game, but they came back. They're able to do it in certain situations. But then again, if anybody remember the Rams defense last year, they gave up a lot of leads. So,
Little teaser.
We're going to have to see this one then. But for the Falcons, I like some of the guys that got Scotty Miller, from the Bucks. Drake London, he's solid. Kyle Pitts. I'm not going to lie.
He might could do something.
You just don't have to have somebody.
The talent's there. He just hasn't put it all together yet.
Offensive line is solid. Jake Matthews.
Now that I will agree. I do like that offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive side, Chris Lindstrom. Defense, look.
A lot of new names.
One of my sponsors on the defense, hey, good luck to your Falcons.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Bud Dupree. They got, obviously, A.J. Terrell, Lorenzo Carter, Grady Jarrett, Khalil Canvas. So, they got a all right defense, but that's why I say this could be a 1A, 1B, and I could see any team winning this division with an easy 10-7, 9-8 record. Remember how the Bucks won 8-9 record last year? So I can see the same thing happening once again for this division. This division it's going to be tight, but there's not a lot of teams that can really push the envelope as being one of the best teams in the NFC. So we can see, could easily be
Yeah.
surprised. Then my number number 3, I'm going with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, you got Bryce Young, you got all them boys. He's new coming into shop. They got that they're trying to build a lot of things. They got to rebuild their offensive line. They got a lot of good defensive picks in their draft that I remember. And I don't know. I really don't know too much overall on the Panthers. I'm going with them because I'm not too sold on the Buccaneers. I just
Yeah.
don't think the Buccaneers are. I don't think they got it. I mean, they're bringing in Baker Mayfield. He's solid, but eh. On
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, they done lost some of their weapons. They done lost a lot of things on defense as well. I'm not sold on the Buccaneers. I can see them having a little struggling year. Plus, I'm not the biggest fan of their head coach. I don't think their head coach is all that good. So
You don't
right
like
now,
Todd Bowles?
oh yeah, Todd Bowles. No, I don't trust him. Like I said, I was
Yeah.
trusting more of Tom Brady there, but and plus when they had
Sure.
what's the other guy? The other head coach, Bruce Arians. When they had Bruce
Bruce Arians,
Arians,
yeah.
yeah, he was the guy. I think they would have had so much of a better team if Bruce Arians would have stayed. I really do believe that. But I know he
I
went
don't
on to the
know.
higher exec position. It's just that team is not good all the way around. So Tampa Bay
Mm-hmm.
might be in a little bit of reset. But look, the years that they've had, the past, three years, those
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay fans were very excited. They enjoyed it. They went and won a Super Bowl. They went to the playoffs, had a phenomenal playoff game to watch live. They've had a lot of comebacks. Brady don't broke records. And so Tampa Bay don't have their time.
Yeah.
Their fans were excited for the past 3 years, so it's probably back to the gutter for Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Buccaneers, right?
Yep.
All right. All right. I'll get into mine. I'm gonna go number one Falcons, and it ain't a 1A 1B. I just really I kind of like what they've done compared to everybody else. I'm not gonna say I love everything they've done overall. I guess you could say. I do think Arthur Smith can do it this year. I mean, I mentioned he comes from that Titans background with Ryan Tannehill and maybe one good wide receiver, and then you have Derrick Henry. We're probably going to see Bijan Robinson ran a ton this year.
It will.
And then to spell him, you do got Tyler Algier, like you mentioned, and Cordero Patterson, both good running backs themselves. Algier actually had a really good year last year. So, I mean, he won't be ran into the ground necessarily. They can kind of, give him a break if we need to here and there, but they will rely, I think, on Bijan Robinson a lot this year. I do like the offensive line you named out. Jake Matthews, they drafted a guy early this year from Syracuse, Matthew Bergeron. Decent center, I think. Chris Lindstrom, some backups behind them. Caleb McGarry at right tackle. So pretty good. Johnny Smith can be a good blocking tight end probably. But you have some weapons. You mentioned Scott Miller. I do like that pickup. I think he's just a good, solid veteran. Matt Collin, who's just a tall wide receiver. Drake London, who's got some upside. And then, like you mentioned, Kyle Pitts. Main thing comes down to Ritter just needs to be an okay quarterback, a decent enough managing quarterback for them to succeed this year. I kind of like what they did defensively, too. Bringing in Calais Campbell, the veteran on that defensive line. I love Campbell, and Campbell has, aged very well. The dude has been able
Yeah.
to perform even as he's gotten older.
Yeah,
And
when he
he
was on
looked good.
Baltimore, he looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, who's always been, you can rely on him to come every week. You mentioned Bud Dupree, Georgia homegrown kind of guy from shout out to Wilkinson County, right? You got Lorenzo Carter, another homegrown dude, AJ Terrell. They go and get Jeff Okuda, who he's kind of like, if I could compare this dude to anything, I compare him to and not trying to get into NBA for all you guys that are just like, oh, shut up about the NBA. He's kind of my Cam Reddish of the NFL. I don't know. I just secretly really like this guy, and I like the talent that he had in college. I just don't think he's had the supporting cast and the people around him to really reach that potential yet. So I like Jeff Okuda there. They picked up Mike Hughes, Jesse Bates from Cincinnati. So the secondary has the potential here to be pretty good. The linebackers just have to kind of hold their end of the bargain. I like the defensive line. I like the secondary. Just have to make sure that middle lasts pretty good. So I like the Falcons here, number one. Number two, the Saints, you mentioned them, bringing in Derek Carr, Kendre Miller, a guy from TCU, running back from TCU, who, if Alvin Kamara misses games, I think he can step in and be pretty good. I don't think he play. If he did play, it wasn't a lot in the championship game against Georgia. And they also got Brian Brzee, defensive lineman from Clemson, who I like. Got some good people. You mentioned Chris Olave, who I'm very much in love with. I love Chris Olave. Think he's going to be great this year. Michael Thomas, we'll see if he can actually come back to being, decent. Offensive line's pretty good. Defense has always been at least somewhat good, so I like them at number 2. I'll put Panthers at 3 because I like Frank Reich, Bryce Young, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders, Jonathan Mingo, Hayden Hurst, all being pushed into this offense that has been so just abysmal this past couple years. I think that's going to make a big difference here. Frank Reich's a great offensive mind, so I think they can run up some numbers at least this year offensively to keep themselves in some games. The defense is where I'm worried about a little bit, though. I just don't know what to quite expect on that side of the ball. You do got Brian Burns, really good player. Thompson, who could be pretty good. Derek Brown, former first-round pick from, I think it was from Auburn, pretty good. And they did go and add Von Bell and Jamie Robinson, who I think is a upside guy. Ended up being at Florida State later in his career. Came from, I want to say, Lee County. He was good. So I think they can be it. And then Buccaneers, like you said, Baker Mayfield, I'm not buying it. You still got Mike Evans. You still got Chris Godwin. And then the defense just really doesn't look good to me. I do know that Todd Bowles is a good defensive mind. I just don't know if he can do enough with what
he
he's
just
doing.
need to only do defensive side.
Yeah.
Because
And I just don't think he has. I think this is the worst defense I think they've had in years, in my opinion. I don't really. I mean, they do have a couple pieces still from that championship winning team, but man, I don't know. It's gotten pretty bad. So I mean, like I like Devin White, I like Levante David, Shaq Barrett could be pretty good, but I'm really worried about the defensive backs. They do got Jamil Dean, Carlton Davis can be okay. Antoine Winfield I do like, but I don't know. There's some stuff to really kind of puzzle you. So I do agree with yours most part. I just flip Saints and Falcons there. So I'll
like I
pick
said,
the next.
they're interchangeable. They're very interchangeable.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah. I not to try to hype up the Falcons too much because I don't want to get their hopes up, the fans up that much this year, but I do see some success in the future. So that leaves us with NFC West. I get to pick this one. I'm going to go with NFC West, a division that in the years past we're like, man, I could see all 4 of these teams making the playoff. I'm almost certain we've said that in years past on this show because they were just that talented. It's just, man, we've had 2 teams just absolutely kind of fall off, and we'll get to them here in a second. But to me, number 1 here, who I'm picking to be number 1 in this in this division of the conference, is going to be the 49ers. I don't think that's a crazy thing
I
to
was about
say.
to say it shouldn't even be
Yeah, I mean, a lot of continuity coming back. Obviously, they are going to be missing their defensive coordinator who went on to coach. He's going to be the head coach for the Texans this year. But
who's going to be quarterback? Who you think will be
quarterback? It's going to be Brock Purdy. I do know some people that are thinking Trey Lance. I think it's going to be Brock Purdy. He did enough last year. I think he kind of bought himself at least that title to start things off this year.
What about
Crazy
Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold can. I just don't know. You know me. If anybody's going to come out and tell the truth about Sam Darnold, I was the guy that was. I was going to die on the hill that Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. I fell in love with him in that Rose Bowl against Penn State.
That was an incredible game. Yes,
man, it has been a steep decline ever since, and I don't know. I've just lost hope in him, man. But needless to say, whoever's quarterback, it'll be straight regardless. Shanahan can make do with whatever he's given. He's proven himself to be a great offensive mind, and they've got a good team around him. Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Jawan Jennings. I like all these guys. They add Ray McLeod, your boy from Pittsburgh. They add Chris Conley, former Georgia Bulldog, and then one guy that's gone a little under the radar. Picked in the 7th round, which was really shocking to me. Former wide receiver from Michigan, Ronnie Bell, who made some really good catches for Michigan. Now, if you go back and you remember watching some of the Michigan games, the dude making all these spectacular catches, Ronnie Bell, like just ridiculous. He was good. So maybe he has a renaissance there in San Francisco. You got to love the offensive line with Trent Williams. Kind of heading things up. They're going to have that right. Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Tyrion Davis-Price. They can have a running back by committee with obviously Christian McCaffrey, getting the bulk of the carries, and then also having Kyle Juszczyk, who's just probably the best fullback in football. If we had to put that, it's a dying position, but you can't go wrong with the dude. They just have to milk the clock, keep the defense fresh, and score touchdowns whenever they can, and be smart offensively. And they're Gucci, because on the defense you look at Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave. They bring him in from Philly. Javon Kinlaw, who we all knew was the monster at South Carolina. Eric Armstead's still there. They got Cleveland Farrell. They brought him in, former first-round pick from Las Vegas. If you remember, he played for Clemson. They bring in a guy, Robert Bill. We know him from Georgia. I like him. He'll just be a depth piece there. D. Winters, liked him from TCU. Dre Greenlaw. We all know Fred Warner, probably the best linebacker in the NFL right now. Tashawn Gibson, Javarius Ward, Isaiah Oliver, kind of slept on guy who I liked coming out. They also got a guy, Darrell Luter, who I liked from South Alabama this past year. I really wanted Georgia to maybe be able to pull him from the transfer portal, but it just didn't happen. They go out and get a kicker this year, Jake Moody, from Michigan, who's a pretty solid kicker. So just to bring a little special teams in here, I like him. For me, second in this division, you get the Seahawks, a team that really overperformed last year. Everybody kind of wrote them for dead when we knew Geno Smith was going to be the number one guy, running things there. And, actually had a pretty good season. Showed some stuff there. They got K. Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, keeping that continuity there. Go and get Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first round this year, who many think is they thought he was the best wide receiver in this draft. Some people had that as a thought. So good pickup by them. Going to be able to run the ball. They got Kenneth Walker, who really showed out really well. And then they also go get our boy Kenny McIntosh, and they go get Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, a good running back from UCLA in the second round. So I'm going to have that running game. Defensively, Jerron Reed. You got Bobby Wagner coming back, Devon Witherspoon, who should be pretty good, Jamal Adams, great safety, Quandre Diggs, great safety, Tariq Woolen, and Kobe Bryant, from Cincinnati, when he paired up with Sauce Gardner. So like what they got there. Then you get to our bottom two here. And one of these teams is at least a little bit better than the other, because I think they're going to have their starting quarterback healthy to start off. So that's why I'm just going to put the Rams here. Matthew Stafford should theoretically be healthy come the start of the season. Who knows how long that's, though. He's starting to deteriorate, man. He's
there are a lot of injuries.
He gets injured quite often. That's something you got to watch out for. They couldn't really add a lot this year as far as their options, through the draft and free agency. Just didn't have the capital to make it happen. Got a good guy, good wide receiver from BYU, Puka Nacua, who I liked. Outside of that, offensively, it wasn't much. They got Warren McClendon later on in the fifth round from Georgia. We know him, pretty good blocker. And then, Zach Evans, who I like, ended up going from Ole Miss to TCU, I want to say, or TCU to Ole Miss, one of those two. And our boy Stetson Bennett, who might be able to play this year, and they signed to a 4-year contract. Shockingly enough, a lot of people written this dude off, thought he was going to be an insurance salesman as soon as he left Georgia.
He's all I know here.
He proved me wrong.
Top
pick. A lot of people wrong.
Crap. Yeah, get out of here, man. I got tired of hearing that. I was like, dude, no 2-time national championship winning quarterback of his caliber who can actually play, because we weren't blind to the hate.
He did.
He's a good quarterback. I mean, he was a good football player. I mean, he was. So, get him in the right system. He can do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying he's jumping in, he's winning 3-4 Super Bowls, but I feel like have a decent career in the right system. So, I like it. And then with Sean McVay, I like my chances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he can be pretty good. The defense is there's a lot there that is not good, though. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, but sadly, he's not going to be able to hold this thing down by himself. I just can't tell you. I know a lot of these guys. Like, I could go through and name these people out right now, but I feel like a lot of you would not know them. And I mean, like, it's gotten that, it's just gotten that sparse. They did pick up Byron Young from Tennessee, who I like as an edge rusher, so I will mention him. But other than that, it's much to be left to be desired. Then you get to the Cardinals, who, as I mentioned, I just don't think they're going to have their starting quarterback to start things off this year. I think Kyler Murray coming off the injury, he's not going to be ready. They went and got Paris Johnson, good offensive lineman in the draft. B.J. Ojolari, great edge rusher from LSU. They got Owen Papo, if any of you guys follow recruiting, was like a number one kind of player overall about 4 or 5 years ago from Grayson. Just things didn't work out for him as they probably should have, potential-wise, at Auburn. But they got him nonetheless. So it's the Cardinals. I'm not going to go crazy on this one. So that's my list. You got 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals. How do you order this out of this division?
Well, our list is very similar. It's probably the same. The thing about NFC is, like we already said, the harder division we felt like was the AFC anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
But we know the NFC, they have their few teams, and I feel like the 49ers are one of those few teams. 49ers, Eagles, throw the Cowboys in there. There's a few, but towards the bottom pack, they're competitive, but they ain't nobody you can really depend on. And I'm going with the same list you got. I got the 49ers first. I do like what Brock Purdy did last year. Technically, he was undefeated when he played full games. He never lost a game. He didn't play the whole game in the NFC Championship game. He got hurt. Then I know he came back, but come on, the man was literally on one. He didn't have even a shoulder. His shoulder was gone.
Yeah, he messed up.
I like what Brock Purdy brings to the table. I like that defense for the 49ers. I like what they got in the backfield. Like you say, you named all their weapons. They're phenomenal. Debo Samuels, Christian McCaffrey, the fullback Cal Juszczyk. I mean, they got a team. Now it's finally time for them to try to do their best to get over the hump. The Eagles going to be a tough team to get over, but I just think we can see a potential rematch later on in the playoffs. So, they're one of those teams I'm excited to watch throughout the season. I'm a Steelers fan, but if you ever had to say there's a team I slightly root for, you know how you got that other team I just like to see them win.
Yeah.
For me, in the NFL, it's the 49ers. Another team like that at a time, it's probably not that anymore. But at a time, I'm a Georgia fan.
I like it.
But for some reason, I used to root for Stanford. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I used to like Stanford winning. I was like, man, I like Stanford
winning. Like when McCaffrey was there, I used to
yeah. Funny they got McCaffrey, but obviously with Andrew Luck and they had some other good teams. Reason why I would like Stanford.
Bryce Love. There's a deep cut for you.
That is. Where has he been?
Yeah, Richard Sherman, but that's a real deep. Yeah, I didn't really watch it for him because I didn't really know of him at the time. So,
well, I used to watch a good bit of Stanford because Stanford, there was a time when Oregon before the playoffs, Oregon would be always at the top. Mariota. Well, that's when they did make the playoffs. But there was a lot of times Oregon was always top tier ranked, and I used to get mad because Oregon ain't playing nobody, but they would run the score up on these teams, and every year. They have to play this one team that'll keep them from making it into the championship. And it'll be Stanford that'll beat them at the end of the year. Even if sometimes Stanford don't even have a good record. Stanford will go on the road and beat them. Like, there's no way with this Oregon Stanford will go on the road and beat them. So they have some solid teams. But yeah, like 49ers is one of those teams I slick root for sometimes. Yeah. I like a lot of their pieces they bring to the table. Seattle Seahawks is my number 2 pick. Seattle. You got to always believe in a guy like Pete Carroll and what he can do with his team. I like what Geno did coming into last year. He fell off a little bit at the end, but Seattle have a lot of they're slept on a little bit on the defensive end. But I feel like if you really look at how they play on defense, they play really good as a squad. Like they're a really good squad defensive pack. So. I forgot what team it was. I think it was Seattle, the 49ers. But, man, it was like a really good defensive game back and forth. Now, granted, the 49ers still won the game, but Seattle is one of those teams where if you sleep on them too long, they'll come out of nowhere and surprise you. So I can see Seattle going 10-7-ish, maybe 11-6. That's really pushing it. I will lean 7, maybe a 9-8, but – I got them my number 2. Same thing. We got the same list. The Rams number 3, all depending on Matthew Stafford being healthy. And then the Cardinals number 4. The Cardinals, it's funny. What was this? 2019, 2018, 2017, it was the Rams and the Cardinals and the Seahawks. It was Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks division. Then it switched over. The 49ers came out in 2020 when they went to the Super Bowl. Then 2021, the Rams said, hey, we coming back. So, and the Cardinals were good then. So, a lot of this division can easily flip any time throughout the year. The past 10 years, this has been one of the most fun. A lot of people say, probably people thought this was the toughest division. Now I think it's the AFC West, but this is one of the tougher division in all of football. So, or you can say NFC East. Take that back. I don't know. NFC East, AFC West. Which one do you think is the toughest division in football?
AFC West, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I'd say that because Giants and Commanders. I just I don't buy it all the way, but AFC West, it's Chiefs, Chargers. Who else you got in there? We just broke it down.
Broncos and Raiders.
Yeah, you could kind of say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's close. It's close, but I like the if I had to rank it by my top two, Kansas City and the Chargers. That's better than Philadelphia and Dallas. Dallas is the little pincher. I like Philadelphia. Just Dallas is like but I guess rivalry wise, because it means more in that division. Obviously, this stuff, these rivalries have been going on for a long time. They get up to play each other.
I know they were the toughest division, varied from 2010, but AFC North, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me.
So yeah,
I like that one too. I like that one too. So man, that'll leave you with our last division, and you're going to break this one down first. The NFC North, the Aaron Rodgers list for the first time in God knows how long. NFC North.
And the NFC North, who would have ever thought we would finally get to a list like this? Now, on a team like the NFC North, not having Aaron Rodgers now, that actually is a big thing. This is interesting because it's very competitive. I don't know what we're going to see from a guy like Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. After seeing the Vikings last year, they won 13 games by one score. They were
team. They technically had a negative point differential, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, they did. They had a negative 0.3 differential. Wow.
Yeah, so they shouldn't have been winning all those games, but they did.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously we saw it was a little flukish because guess what they did in the first round of the playoffs? They lost to the Giants. So. This is actually a hard division to pick as well.
It was tough for me. This one was actually one of the tougher ones. You might be surprised at mine, honestly.
I'm gonna go with number one. Looking at it, but number one, I'm gonna put some trust in them because they did finish the season well. I did like what Dan Campbell did with them, but I'm going with the Lions.
There you go.
The Lions.
There you go.
The Lions had a real solid team last year. They did. They had a.
I like Dan Campbell and the coaching staff too, man. Me too. The way that, like you said, the way they ended off that year, it kind of goes into my mindset here when I'm picking these teams. I like that.
Yeah, he threw Jared Goff threw 29 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. He got some really solid receivers. Josh Reynolds, Amon, St. Brown. Their offense was top 10 in scoring and top 12 in passing and rushing. So they got a team. They got a running backs, David Montgomery. Obviously, the guy himself, Jamar Gibbs. Jameson Williamson, coming in as well. They got
6-game suspension for him.
Yeah, no suspension. Yeah, but he'll be back. Cam Sutton on defense, CJ Garner-Johnson, as you already talked about, Emmanuel Mosley.
He's out, yeah.
He's out. And you got the rookie, Brian Branch. I like a lot of that.
I didn't even have that down. I like that. Brian Branch is a good pick, man.
And then also I forgot about the defensive guy. Now, this is the guy that still is he's the one that still we got a radar still out there for him is Aiden Hutchinson. We'll see.
That's right.
How good Aiden Hutchinson will be for the Detroit Lions. But I think overall, man, they got a good team on paper. And plus, last year, which after just saying this, Detroit went 5-1 in the division. So going 5-1 in a division, and they didn't make the playoffs. That shows you, man. Like they're right there. They can beat these teams in the division, and this is a division with Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see what the Lions are able to bring to the table going into next year. So I'm excited. I think the Lions be the 1 seed. Now, 2 seed is where things get hard. All right. Oh man.
I think we know who's going to be at the bottom though. So it's the 2 and 3 to me.
2 and 3. I say bottom. I put Green Bay. All right. Let's say for my 4 is Green Bay. You think the Bears going to be at the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the Bears going to probably outplay Green Bay. I'm between the Bears and the Vikings for number 2, but I think I'm going to slick go Vikings 2.
Wow. Yeah, out of those two, it's easy.
Yeah, I'm going to go Vikings 2 then. I'm going to go Vikings. All right. We know what they did last year, man. They had a lucky season last year. I mean, come on. We saw, but you can only get so lucky when playoff time hits. You can't only get so lucky. But they had a phenomenal season last year. Beat crazy, had some crazy comebacks. I mean, crazy. I mean, what who came back on the Colts? It was the Vikings, correct? Yeah, it was the Vikings. They were down 33-0.
I think you're right. Yeah.
33-3 or 33-0,
like
regardless.
Crazy freaking comeback.
And they came back and won the game. So looking at the Vikings of what they did from that last year, that's another piece of what you had to look at as well. So the Vikings were a tough team. The defensive back, it's a little 50-50. You got Harrison Smith as a veteran. He's on a little bit of decline at safety. But you have these are names I'm not familiar with. You probably already got Cam Bynum, Andrew Booth, Louis San.
I like Andrew Booth though. He came from Louis Sean. That's our safety when we won the first national championship.
That's right.
Yeah, right. And then Andrew Booth, great cornerback from Clemson.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to go against him in that first game a couple years ago.
And then you got Makai Blackman. So I mean, they got some young guys. The Vikings
they're young.
Guys. Obviously, we already know Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. They got some guys. Dalvin Cook. I forgot Dalvin Cook's.
Well, no, they don't.
Yeah, he's not.
I'll be coming back.
Yeah. So, we'll have to see what this. Let me see who the running back is. Alexander Madison. We have to see how he plays coming back.
And he's done okay when he's gotten work. It's just they don't have much behind him either. Ty Chandler, Kenny Nwangwu, and Dwayne McBride. I just don't know those 3 guys really that well. So a lot hinges on him.
Yeah, my number 3 is the Chicago Bears. I'm gonna. That's why they're number. I like their number 2. But I'm gonna give them a shot. I'm gonna go with them a little bit. I'm gonna trust Justin Fields for the first time. I know they got DJ Moore, coming in for the receiving group. He'll help out a little bit.
Claypool's on the pup right now.
Who?
Claypool. He'll be on the pup to start the season. So I think it's like the first 4 or 6 weeks. He'll be out.
I feel sad for Claypool sometimes, man. He don't.
I heard
he played better on the
pretty piss poor offense.
I know.
Or not
I already knew that he wasn't going to be. I already knew he wasn't going to be what he was.
Said he ain't been working hard or trying really.
No, he's not that. He was able to be pushed a little bit more in Pittsburgh, but he wasn't going to do nothing in Chicago, especially when you go to a team that went at the time. But I do think they step up their game just a little bit. I think we see a little bit more from Justin Fields. I think he can finally steal some games, win some games. They know they drafted Tyreek Stevenson. They got Jalen Johnson at the corner. They got Tremaine Edmonds. They got TJ Edwards to boost up the linebacker. So they got a solid group. I think they're just going to be a little bit better than Green Bay, who I will be going to now as my 4 with Jordan Love and all those guys. I just don't trust Green Bay enough. I know they got Christian Watson. Matt LaFleur is still a really good coach. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon in the run game. But I have to just see more from Jordan Love. I know a lot of people think Jordan Love is going to be this savior for Green Bay the way Rodgers was for Brett Favre, but I don't think so. I think Jordan Love is going to be a solid quarterback, but I think he's going to have his struggles his first year. So I think we're going to see the downfall of Green Bay. I predict them probably going 7-9, 6-10, 6-11, 7 and what is it? 7-10 and 6-11. Yeah, I keep forgetting that we got these 17 games, messing up my
Yeah.
record things now. But yeah, that's what my prediction is currently. So number one, I got the Lions, 2 Vikings, 3 Bears, 4 Green Bay.
I do have the Lions 1. I do have the Vikings 2, but I got the Packers and Bears switched up a little bit.
Mm,
Lions, I mean, to me, I think they could have had a better offseason. I don't
mm-hmm,
think they necessarily had to go out and get Jahmyr Gibbs. But I do like him. Just don't think they absolutely needed him. They could have Jamal Williams there and just kept that 1-2 kind of in Detroit. They also got one guy that's being slept on a little bit, Muhammad Ibrahim, running back from Minnesota, who was really freaking good at Minnesota in college. So maybe he plays up to something there. But good offensive line, good defense. I've talked about how I like that coaching staff. Hard to really crack on what they got defensively. They got Jack Campbell, rookie linebacker from Iowa, Alex Anzalone, a guy I like. If you watched Hard Knocks last year, Malcolm Rodriguez, a lot of people, he was like one of the heroes on Hard Knocks everybody liked.
mm-hmm.
They got some other good guys here too. We'll how things end up playing. Brian Branch will have to play up to par now that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's out. So I like them at number 1. Number 2 with the Vikings. I'm not as huge on their defense as much as I like their offense. I kind of like their offense a bit more. To me, I could very easily see the Packers taking number 2, and the Vikings,
Really?
falling down. Yeah, it just the Vikings are so up and down. Like we said, the point differential stuff. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
totally sold on the running back here. I like Justin Jefferson. I like Jordan. I like Jalen Rager and maybe Jalen Naylor and KJ Osborne are good dart throws from time to time. We'll see how they do on there. Defensively, though, I'm just not big on it like Daniel Hunter, but I think there's been talks that maybe he can be released. Jordan Hicks, Marcus Davenport, former first rounder with New Orleans. You mentioned Harrison Smith, but like you said, he's getting older. Byron Murphy, that's maybe your like big guy that you got right there, and then Lewis Seen, he play his way up. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just not like that's like my one that I could see falling. Packers, I think that Jordan Love can actually do pretty decently enough for them to win games. Their defense is already good, dude. They got Kenny Clark. They got Devontae Wyatt. They got Lucas Van Ness in the first round this year, a really good pick from Iowa. Like him, Preston Smith's good. Quay Walker, Devondre Campbell, former Falcon there. Rashawn Gary, former first round pick from Michigan. Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, Rasul Douglas. I like their defense a lot. There's a lot to like here, honestly. And offensively, the quarterback can do okay, and they got a good running game. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, you can rely on those guys. The offensive line's been decent enough. They got Christian Watson, Romeo Dubs. I like those two guys. Jaden Reed, they drafted in the second round from Michigan State, who could be pretty good. So I think they can actually overperform. They can outperform a little bit. The Bears, do I? I like Justin Fields. I'm probably going to have him in fantasy this year. I think he can put up some numbers. Um, they got Darnell Mooney. They got DJ Moore. I mean, I'm pretty good with those. Claypool, like I said, is going to probably be out for a little while. Offensive line might be okay. They actually invested in that with Darnell Wright, right tackle from Tennessee, so he could be pretty good potentially. They themselves are going through a little bit of a running back thing here too, though. Losing David Montgomery, bringing up Khalil Herbert, who maybe can be all right, bringing him Deontay Foreman, okay. Drafted Rashawn Johnson from Texas, who was Bijan Robinson's backup. So we'll see what we got there. Defensively, I'm just not all that sold on it either. I'm not a big fan of Tyreek Stevenson, and that may be some sour grapes. He transferred from Georgia to Miami, but to me,
I
he's
remember
not the most fluid corner. I think he's more of a safety, and very much like Keely Ringo, I think he can
that.
probably be a better safety than a corner. So I don't know. I just don't see this team necessarily. I don't trust the coaches. I don't really know that coach well enough. I can trust LaFleur over in Green Bay a little bit more. So that's why I have it like that. Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears, and I could very well, like I said, see Packers and Vikings flipping. But I do think the Lions come out of this division number 1. So that's where we differ. But pretty good NFC show here. We done broke down the whole NFL, man. 2 straight weeks, taking them out.
Yeah,
So a lot to look forward to. Looking forward to
yeah, we
fantasy.
got
We're
our
already starting to talk about
predictions.
fantasy.
We got our predictions. We're ready to go. Fantasy for some people are up on the horizon. Now I had played fantasy just for the fun of it for the first time last year for football wise. I have played the basketball one. With y'all.
My basketball too, yeah.
I played the football one with Pete Connect, Performer, just a few guys. And I won the thing, and I was like, okay, this is not bad, But I'm pretty sure the rules that y'all play by are completely different what we had because we did a full different draft. Y'all don't go by y'all don't have a whole different team next year. Y'all get keepers, so
the Jones County League you get 3 keepers.
That's what I'm saying.
The rest of it is up for grabs. But I mean, I do play in other leagues where you have to draft from scratch and stuff too. So okay. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but see, I think that those are actually key. Like depending
on,
yeah, no,
a lot of strategy.
Yeah, y'all definitely be doing some big time trading. I actually like how
I love trading.
Not only do I hear from you, but like when I hear from the group message, like Tanner and Cole and Keever
I bet
and
you're
all.
Gonna be so pissed off at me sometimes.
Oh, they do.
Tyler done traded enough yet.
Man. Who won the Super Bowl last year? Who was it?
It was Daniel. It came down to Daniel and Tanner, and
right.
Daniel ended up pulling it out. So
yeah, I still have that video, bro. I still have that video, man. It's one of my favorites, dude.
What, Louis?
When they with Louis.
Every year I win. Louis doing the trash talk.
So. Oh my gosh, man! Like
he looks forward to it too. He looks. I'm telling you, he looks forward to it.
I bet he does.
He lives for it,
bro. When Tanner lost, and the Super Bowl,
like that.
he said, "Tanner, that video, you suck, dude."
Yeah.
Hey, that's so. I still say that. I can't. I have to. I'll find it later.
Tanner probably threw that phone against the wall, broke it.
Yeah.
So
that's one of my favorite videos. So I send it to Tanner. I just randomly send it to him. Even when we like trash talking each other or something, I just send it to him.
Good times. Yeah, we'll have to get us another. Kobe was hitting me up about TNT Fantasy League, so we'll have to do that again this year.
All right, bet.
Yeah, man. Any last thing? I know you're busy. With fight coming up. So I mean, anything else you wanna say here before we break it down?
Oh man, this is probably one of the best fight weekends we've probably seen in a very long time. UFC 291 with Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. My gosh. Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. That's a phenomenal fight. You got Michelle Pereira versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
You got Kevin Holland and Michael Chiesa. The undercard is freaking nasty. Then in boxing, you got Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence in the main event. Oh my gosh, bro. Then you got in the Bellator, they're doing Bellator versus Ryzen. You got AJ McKee versus Patricio Pitbull for the title. Japan, that's a nut one. This entire weekend is filled. Then also for us local guys, there's fights here in Chattanooga, and there's like 4 titles on the line, and we got a majority of our gym is fighting. So that's gonna be awesome. So Saturday packed. Right after that, I've got to go find me a TV somewhere, some way, somehow, and we're gonna be watching a lot of fights. All Saturday is gonna be me nothing but watching fights. So, fight weekend, and then me getting ready for mine. So it's exciting to watch those type of high level caliber of fights. Then the next week you go and fight yourself. So put you in that mode and get you there riled up. So I'm ready.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening in today. We do appreciate all the support. If you're listening to this on the podcast format, you can, follow us, subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can go in the description and click on the Linktree link, and you can find our different social media channels there and follow us that way and support us in a multitude of different ways. So thank you guys for listening. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Boom, boom.